We started recording.
Start.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the June meeting of the Whangamatā Community Board. And I'll start by calling for apologies. Any apologies? No.
I don't think we had Gary back online yet.
I believe Gary will join us shortly online. And we have our members here. So now moving to the public forum. So public forum, we have Gail Gilbertson, and Gail's talking on 2 subjects. So Gail, do we?
She is not online yet either. If you'd like to just adjourn.
Okay, we'll have public forum until
Hopefully she'll come in.
we have Gail's name pop up. So moving, any items not on the agenda? Is not. Does anyone have a conflict of interest? No, so we'll move to confirmation of vote. Gary's back on the line.
Thank you.
Morning, Gary.
Good morning.
Move to the minutes of the meeting of the 17th of May. I'll just put it in order. I'll move those.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Kay. Open up for discussion.
Just as raised by email, I do think that the minutes could better capture the commentary and frustration, especially when it was at the point that it was in the last meeting. But I think these minutes accurately captured.
Okay, note that teams and would like to have the key points raised in the debate mentioned in the minutes. So I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now we'll move to item 2.1, and we have a request here from the swimming pool to retain some funds that they haven't spent to date on their projects for the accounting and for website design. So the report's there.
I'd like to prove that they
Moved by Kay, seconded by Terry. Any discussion? Looks no, so we'll move that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Next item is item 3.1, and this is to look to give a short-term lease to the recreation services for 101 Lindsay Road. And
who's going to speak to this?
we have Nicole. Is Nicole available? No. It's fairly self-explanatory. What it's looking to do is to provide a 1-year lease and then take it on a month-by-month basis after that.
I thought it was initially 6 months.
6 months.
It's only 6 months initially,
months,
isn't
right.
it?
6 months and then months.
And then monthly.
6 months and then monthly.
I'm quite happy to let them go. I mean, while we're doing all the other stuff, what else are they going to do with it? Quite important for the town that they are on.
I'll move it.
I'll move it.
Moved by
I move
Kay,
that we
seconded by
accept it.
Tamsin.
Tamsin. Any further discussion? Sounds like there's support for that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 4.1, and this is the licensed operators, and we have a report there from Derek. Good morning, Derek.
Morning aboard. How is everybody?
Morning. We're all good, thank you. And I'll move it, and someone like to second that.
Second that.
Okay, and we'll. You want to add anything to your report, Derek?
Yeah, I can give you a very quick 60 seconds. So if you remember back, we had the licensed commercial operators was to be run under the weighted tender model. And we went through an exercise with the board selecting various locations, etc. However, at the 24th of May annual plan deliberations meeting, the weighted tender model was asked not to proceed, and we were to assess applications on the existing model. It's a little bit complicated, but if you harken back to how we did things a year ago, that's exactly what we're doing now. We've been asked to roll over existing licenses and consider any new applications. For Whangamata, there were no new applications, so we had an array of existing operators, and so what this paper is about is it's asking you to consider extending the licenses for 1 year. Council has asked officers to go back to the drawing board and come up with some different options for the licensed commercial operators, and that'll be progressed over the next 12 months. But in the interim, this is allowing continuity of business operations for these operators.
I think that's important. When you say there were no additional applications, did we publicly advertise that we were seeking some for the 12-month period?
That's correct. So different boards did receive some applications, but none for Whangamata.
I think we've got enough in. I'd like to move that we accept the roll-up.
We've already
We've already done it. Oh, we've already done it.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Derek. Now
Thank
we
you.
come to item 5.1 and take that as read, shall we?
What?
Put it in order, I'll move that,
Well, second that we receive it.
and then I'll open up for discussion page by page. And
Could I just ask through the chair, why we are not told from one meeting to the next or 1 year to the next, what happens to a current budget? We're told that it goes over to the next year, but there is nothing in any comments on the big money that says it rolls over to the next financial year. And I would like it noted that on some of these, there's hundreds of thousands, and I want to know where it goes. Thank you.
well, that's on page 2, I think you're talking about, so wait.
No, it's not only on page 2.
It's gone back over them.
I've gone over a whole lot of them, and there's heaps of them. And we don't know where the money goes. I've had a lot of time with a broken arm to go through it. Look at us.
Can we ask you, the chair, Eileen, we used to get a budget report that came out. We were given those 6 weekly, but those budgets don't actually come out any longer. Is why were they stopped, you know?
I'm not sure, I've never seen budget reports. Lorna, do you know what?
Let's get budget reports. Get-
Can I just say something? Can I just say something? An email's just come through to us about the boardwalk, and there's a lot of information contained. Whether you want to look on your website and have a look, but it came through a little while ago, and it's got a lot of detail about
No, that's
the
the paper
boardwalk.
copy we've got here.
We've got
We've
it.
got a
Yeah.
paper copy.
So, okay, a lot of those budget figures you'll see in the comments, it actually says that the budgets have been carried forward for a lot of those CapEx projects because they weren't going to be completed by the end of this financial year. And the figure is there.
Look, I'm having very bad reception. I can.
And the figure is there. So like for the boardwalk extensions, it says that 176,000 has been carried forward to the next financial year in the comments. So the figures are there. Money will be carried forward to next year for expenditure.
Yeah, but all I'm asking is that there are some of them that it doesn't say, like Island View does not say it's going to next year. The water optimization or whatever doesn't say.
Yes,
That's Island View does, okay.
It doesn't.
Says that carried forward next year is 177,332
Where?
in the comments.
in the comments. Have you got the,
I got the one that was given to us.
Well, I'm just looking at what's on the agenda and it says carried forward amount to 22-23 is 177,332. The figure is approximate under Lease.
Well, that must be the new one then, because this is the one you gave me.
Well, that was old. That was old.
June 2022. No, it's not old.
And
That was an old draft one.
There was other same draft.
But generally, I think that this work program spreadsheet is oversimplified and these projects deserve a lot more space and for numbers to be tracked. And at the moment, it is very difficult to track movement within the numbers. If a budget is shifting, then we should have visibility of the shift and we don't have that shift. So.
Like, I agree with Tamsin, if we've spent 30,000 on the Island View car park, I know I'm banging on about this, but this one really interests me because we're now 6 years, right? So we're now looking at having spent 30,000, 32,000. What? On what? What do we spend it on? We never know what we've spent it on.
Okay, well, that's sort of question we can ask.
But it's not just Island View.
I think in
It's
terms
a
of
lot.
clarity, maybe the current budget should remain the current budget at 200,000,
Yes.
showing 32,000 projected to spend.
And
Then the comment is that carrying forward the balance. Whereas the current budget should never be altered until council resolves to do something about it. So I think that's where some of the confusion is coming. The current budget is what's in the annual plan.
And that current budget gets altered all the time.
Yeah,
It should never be altered unless council resolves to alter it.
the water optimisation is 300 and something thousand, but it's only showing 109.
So I
The
think,
current budget should stay
yeah,
from 1 year to next as a current budget. It's been budgeted for, it should stay current.
and if there's any unspent monies and the project's continuing,
It should
then it's carried
stay.
forward and goes into next year's plan as a new figure.
That's all I'm
We
asking.
can raise it with the infrastructure team to better set out that work program for you.
Yeah, because to me, what they're doing is if I was looking from outside, you are wiping at least nearly 600,000 off our work program.
Okay,
And trust me, I've done the maths.
so I think the point's been made. If you can take it through to the infrastructure team, that'd be
Well, I
great.
actually haven't finished, because I'm telling you that we used to get a budget provided to us, and I can provide those budgets. Sent to us on a monthly basis, and I've got one for TP as well as for Whangamata, showing their spend, showing where it was actually going, and what was left. So they were stopped for some reason. So it might have been before your time.
If you can provide that to us.
Yeah, I'll show you.
And see if that can be.
Yeah,
Through the chair, I've just had a message to say that budget reports were monthly financial ones and finance used to do it, so we can't answer that, but we can go back and.
Okay,
so we'll follow that on finance.
okay.
I just think that we're not getting a full picture of what our money is being spent on.
And I think Joe's right. This is money that has been rated, and the ratepayers are paid
They're
for it.
paying
If
for
it's
it.
retained earnings, we should know about it and be aware of it.
Okay, the points been made. Now, I'd like to just adjourn this item if the board is happy with that and go back to the public forum. Of course, we now have Gail online, so we're returning to item 1.2. Good morning, Gail. Can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
Okay,
Which one? Who am I first? Am I ratepayers or pickleball?
I think your pickleball, because that's the order. We've got the information in front of us.
You've got
so-
the information, yeah. I'm just asking for the community board to support a request to council for a half daily rate. And as I say in my submission thing, I think if we could get like a half daily rate, like for $25, we could be self-sufficient. I mean, so far we've been managing because we've had grants from the community board discretionary fund and also from the TCDC. But if we could get like a half day rate, because we are only there for 2 hours, we could be self-sufficient, and then that money could be utilised by another community group. So I would request that the community board support a submission to the council for that. Do I have to do anything more to sort of get that through?
Well, Gail, we can't debate the issue here in the public forum.
No, I know, but do I have to do another letter to the council or anything?
I'd suggest that actually making a formal submission to the council rather than doing it through the public forum would be the way to go. So,
okay, and do I put that to the community board first and they decide whether or not they will support it?
send it to the council and the staff will decide which avenue it should best go through.
Okay. Yeah, shall I tune into put my ratepayers hat on?
Put your ratepayers hat on, please.
Okay, just very brief, I just wanted an update about the wheels on the footpaths in town. I'm only talking about in town. This is where people get fed up trying to dodge kids on skateboards and scooters through the main part of town. Also, we have set a Meet the Candidates meeting for the 17th of September. I'm not too sure yet whether it'll be late morning or early afternoon, but we will just keep promoting that through our website, through our newsletter and through Facebook. And so we hope to generate some interest from locals to come onto the community board.
Thank you, Gail, and thank you for the
that's all from me.
Okay, I'll ask staff to reply to you regarding the footpath issue.
Thank you.
And the Meet the Candidates, that's noted. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gail. So I'd like to move the public forum. Second by Tamsin. All those in favour? Aye. Against, carried. Now, returning to item 5.1, the work programme. So we've discussed the formatting and some of the issues there. Now we'll get down to the nitty-gritty of the projects. And on page 1, you have Whangamatā. AJ, want to comment anything there?
So Whangamatā, we've run into some issues with getting concession from DOC on their land. We have submitted a report in regards to what options are available to the community board.
We'll discuss that. Okay, thank you. Parks and reserves. So
Can I just say that this is another one, that the current budget is 13,200 and it should be 120.
okay, no, it's
Thank you.
yeah. Noted. Do we have Lou?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Put my glasses on. Thank you. So it looks like you're planning to spend everything except $1 up to the 30th of June. And there's a whole raft of little bits and pieces. All those projects going to be finalised by the 30th of June?
They should be. The only one that I have a little concern about is the power supply for Island View. We've got the quote all sorted, we're all set to go, and then Power have come back, said there's not enough capacity in those overhead lines. So we can put another box on the transformer at the base of the pot, we can still do it. But if I can't achieve it within the next, week or two, I'd like to carry that amount forward till next year.
Would that amount escalate in terms of dollar value, or would it be done within what you've allocated?
It should be able to be done. I've still got to get back from the power one.
Yeah, no, I'm speaking, hopefully on part of the board, that it's something that we've supported for quite a long time to have power to Island Views for things like markets and other things which want to happen there. So you'd like that, if it's not done by the 30th of June, to carry that money forward and do it as a priority into the new year.
But all the rest, as far as the Main Street furniture, that's all been done, and the renewals, bollards, picnic tables, etc. I've got another barbecue on order for the Esplanade. That's getting very old and it's reached the end of its life.
Okay, does it get well used, that Esplanade barbecue?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah, hi Luke.
Just, first of all, cushion for, what's a cushion for?
Oh, sorry, cushion 4 is the soft fall for the playgrounds.
Oh, okay.
So when we replaced the only one of the swings, we had to dig all that out. Yeah, we had new soft fall going there.
Right, okay, understand, thank you, yeah. The other ones around the table, the seats around town with those quite big holes in all the timbers rotted out, have you got any?
Yeah, we've been through those, we'll have a look, but most of those got finished last week.
Oh, okay, you've done something with them?
Yeah, no, they've all been done, it's
Okay, right.
last minute, like usual for me, but yeah, they've all been done.
Okay, well, that's great to see those done. The other one that has always got me going was, if you go down around by the boat ramp, those palings around there are all covered in moss and mould and everything like that. And wonder if they could get a water blast or something like that, maybe to tidy them up or.
Yeah, I think if we put a water blast through them, the wood would disintegrate. They're very old.
Are they?
I've got a heap of bollards to put in there. The issue is Historic Places Trust. We can go ahead and put the bollards in where the fence is close to the road on the ground that's already disturbed. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll plan to go ahead and do all those.
Those up there.
Yeah,
that's just me. And the other one that I noticed was the tables up by the boat club up on the hill opposite just beside the wharf. They were really quite mouldy and greasy and ugly. And there's some wet and forget or something like that. Do they do the spray of that on?
Yeah, we can certainly do that. Once again, if they're at the end of their life, there's new tables we have to replace.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions on that page. Thank you, Lou.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Moving on to the next page.
Lou.
Oh, Lou. Come on back. So that's the one that's got the Island View Reserve, and is that going to take all of the $20,000, the panel?
Yes, it will, because you need to put the new stands in. We've got to be similar to the Williamson Park ones where they're tamper-proof, etc. But the bulk of that cost is to cut the power off and supply it.
It'd be the same as like a swimming pool, wouldn't it? Because that was had to be extra.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite costly.
No, it certainly is, but there is a large reserves budget for next year. If there is any extra, I'd like to use a bit of that to finish that off.
As long as it doesn't mean the car park doesn't get done.
No, it's separate.
Thank you.
Terry.
Yeah, just a question. I just see you answer these two questions here, so sorry to talk about, but can I just have a quick talk about recreational services? We had a bit of a drama around the Christmas period where they didn't have enough mowers. They had difficulty getting them out of Pawanui and that. They do seem to be under the control at the moment. Is there any? How's it going?
It's going a lot better. It's gone back to the old model where Dave Ball, our reserves guy in town here, has now the full overview of Tyrone.
Right.
And here, when the contract came in, they were different models. They were mowing Pawanui from Thames,
Yeah.
and mowing Tyro from Whitianga.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work. So now it's all brought back into how it was in the old contract.
Okay.
And it's working a lot better.
Okay. That's good. Thank you. That's me.
Lou, can I just ask, have you seen those pipe frame bikes that they put in the Thames City area, town area?
Yeah, the bike rack things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any consideration of putting any here? Is that something you could?
Oh, something we could look at. I've already put a few bike racks in the town there. It's a space issue. But yeah, if you want something like that, we can certainly look at it.
They look quite nice with that old-fashioned bike and that there, it just brightens the place up, and I just wondered if we could consider that further down the track.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
We're getting to the stage where some of the gardens here do need revamping. We've got to reduce the garden space to fit more of those sorts of things in. It shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
Through the chair, while we're talking about the gardens, Lou, can you please make sure that the plants are not high, that they're definitely under maybe 600?
Sure.
Because on those roundabouts, especially this Port Road one, it's very difficult to see kids on bikes.
Yep. Oh,
If you're coming from the beach.
Yep.
To go on to Port Road, it's very hard to see little kids on bikes.
sure, yeah, no, we're taking out
We need,
all the yellows, you may notice, are getting replaced.
and also the bus one.
Yep.
I notice they keep the other side trimmed, you know, the far side where people cross, but they leave the ones before the bus pulls in. And they get very high. Again, you can't see the kids waiting for the school bus.
Yep.
So if they're doing one end, can they just make sure they do both ends? Yeah, thanks.
Okay, nothing more for Lou?
Sure.
You can go now. We'll call you back.
We better go quick.
Okay, so anything else on that page people want to discuss?
Just speaking to the boardwalk, obviously I've been requesting information on that since the last meeting, and we've received a pack of information, which needs to be digested and discussed in a workshop.
Won't go through
after
now.
this. I just wanted to know, I haven't had a chance to fully look through it. Is the boardwalk construction still the same as that test piece that we did?
Sorry, I can't answer that.
Okay, so that's right.
Okay.
Board into that, yes.
Is Kathy around?
I don't think Kathy's online, but we can get that information back from
Okay.
the infrastructure team.
So the cell was on this innovative design detail with the steel, holding it together rather than being primarily timber. And by the looks of it, it is all timber now. And I'm just wondering what the process was for that. And obviously that was always going to massively impact the budget. So just keen to understand when these decisions were made and why we went across them. Obviously now the project is a substantial shell of its former self, and it would have been good to be taken on that journey.
Yeah, if we did start to come back to the board on that.
I think the other two important bit to Tamsin also was AJ, was the timber had to be stressed. They could.
It's not one of AJ's
Yeah,
projects.
it's not one of my projects.
Oh, it's not
Yes, no.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. We've got a major, may become one.
Maybe we should give you one.
It's not one of AJ's
Everyone
projects.
else has had a
We'll follow that up with Andrew Bowden once he returns.
hand.
And I was really disappointed to see that they've taken the water options away from, as you walk up the beach up towards it, that there's no showers. Why was that taken away? Can you explain that?
I can't, sorry.
I thought I read that Doc there had been part of the discussion with Doc for approval. I would have thought they would have discussed the whole thing at once, but anyway, if you can just follow up on those things. I mean,
Does that mean that the one that's there now wouldn't be there?
well, I'm sure back in the day, Doc would have said, yes, that's fine.
So why can't it just be left there?
Well, it just shows that the one that's round by the Blackies gets really messy because everybody goes there and it's a big puddle. Whereas if they come off the beach and they do it there and onto the boardwalk, it's far easier and a lot less messy. Would have been great to put them in.
Okay. Anything else on that page there?
Can I just request and would like it recorded that the boardwalk project, someone able to speak to it is at the next community board meeting? I think given that we will soon have a new board, it's a shame to lose the knowledge of the project that will happen come September, and we won't have an opportunity to record our concerns.
Especially seeing it's already 56,000 down. And another year, another 50,000.
Can you people hear at all? Can you hear me? I've got my hand up.
Yeah.
I'm having very bad sound. What I've been trying to say at 9:39 this morning, an email came to us all about the boardwalk with lots of information, and I just thought you should know I've been looking at it, but there's lots of information there, and no doubt we'll be discussing that at the workshop. But it's got a lot of information there that's come through.
That's not the discussion now, Gary.
I know, but I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I've been trying
Breaking up.
sending texts and things. I can't hear you now. Sorry,
Mike?
I'm just going out all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might pay to reconnect, perhaps, Gary.
I'll go off and try again, because they keep saying to me bad reception and whatever. Okay, thank you. I'll leave and come back in.
Okay. Just got a couple of questions on the Island View. AJ, is that you?
The Island View.
Island View car park?
No.
That's Andrew.
What are you doing, AJ?
It's Andrew Bowden.
I'm
Okay.
doing pretty well at the stage of avoiding things.
Very good.
So it looks like now we've got a drawing of a growth option. And you might be able to answer this, Eileen.
Maybe.
Has this been consulted? Is this?
No.
So the
No, this-
community don't know about this option yet?
No,
Okay.
it's only just been just out. So as you'll see in the comments there, Andrew put that he would table it at this meeting. So
Okay.
Eileen, does this concept have to be signed off by the community or signed off by us?
not formally, no. It's an operational design. So, but community board are welcome to put their feedback into it. And we can discuss that in the workshop.
Okay.
So the 30,000 spent to date is on public consultation, or do we know that?
My understanding is it's just on designs, but without actually, yeah, it's
Anderson, this is number 3.
Yes.
Yeah, there had been earlier designs, as you recall.
We did one 5 years ago, and they've come back and now it's the same ideas. And we've spent 30,000. And this is what I want to know, is why are we spending this kind of money when we don't know where it goes? I want to know what the 30,000 has been
We can get
spent
that
on,
information to you once Andrew returns.
please. We asked them last time, remember,
Many, many times.
many times. We just want to know what's
I know
happening.
that, and I will come back to you.
Yeah, if we have that via an email of breakdown what's going on.
Because the thing is, if you do drive around, we're spending like 30,000, but you can't see anything for it. Now we've got a bit of paper.
Oh, the other bits of paper you can see, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you can't tell me it's worth 30 grand. I could draw that up.
Well, worth and cost aren't always the same thing.
I don't care. It's ratepayer money.
Well, it's actually, that's our role as a community board, is to ensure these projects are managed
Exactly.
appropriately and to understand where the money goes. So I think not providing us that information is making us incapable of doing it.
No, we've asked for the information.
But we have been asking for some time.
We've got it recorded there, and I'm sure Eileen will make sure we get that.
Again.
The next page, any issues
The
there?
nib curve is AJ? Was that?
AJ's here about the water metering.
Ah,
And the water metering and the three public conveniences.
Excellent.
Water
Okay,
metering
can
and
I
three
just,
public
who's talking
conveniences.
about, who's here to talk about the nib curve?
James.
Not,
You, Eileen.
No.
No, very good.
Where's James? He's the engineer.
I'm not sure if he's online.
I was just
There he
interested.
is. He's there. James, JM. Is he on? No,
Yeah,
he's not.
he's there. There he is.
Good morning, board. How can I help?
Morning, James. Terry here. I'm just
Morning,
interested in the nib curve construction, and it's just an observation that was made to me by some people.
Sure.
They're doing the Barrelclough Road,
Yes.
and as they came to the intersections, last time they did them, they would cut off the concrete piece for the driveways and nib curve it right through. This time they stopped at those intersections and to the driveways and didn't take the nib curve right through, or they going to do.
I think
Later.
it's work. I think it's work in progress. This
Right.
is something we discussed with Ed last week when Brent Crawford from Pinnacles was in the office, and I think that was what they were discussing. Yes, I don't think it's completed as yet, Terry.
Okay, that's okay. Just follow that
I'll
up.
we'll make a note of that.
Question.
But it's saying in Barraclough Road.
And the other ones are going to move from Barraclough into Rutherford, is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And you're happy with progress with spices?
Very good.
Okay,
All reports are good.
thank you.
James, and I see that the comments have been updated as at the 8th of June, which is excellent, so they're a lot fresher than they have been in the past.
Yep.
You're hoping to install Chevron streetlights for late June. Is that going to happen still this financial year?
I believe so. I'll follow up with that. Get back to you.
Yeah, there's only a week to go, so.
Yep.
Shortest day, it's pretty dark out there.
I'll message someone now and I'll get back to you hopefully by the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, James, could I just ask you, in the footpath construction, the current budget was 163,201 at the last meeting. This meeting, it's 25,923, and we've spent 25,923, and yet you're only carrying 54,000 forward. What's happened to the other 70,000?
I'm not sure. I'd have to follow up on that, Kay.
This is just another example of what we're talking about with the money.
Yep.
Good question, Kay.
Thank
Good
you.
question. Right on the button.
Okay, anything else on that page?
Yeah, the drinking water standards. AJ?
No, that's not AJ. AJ is for the metering and metering public convenience.
It's Ian. Is Ian there?
Is Ian on board? No, he is not.
Who's the +5? Is Ian there?
My interest to this one is that I can see the progress that's going on down there, but it's halted because of some reserve status issues around that, and I just need to understand what that means.
Okay, I'll follow that up for you, Terry.
I think it's all very well having a joke about it, but these people need to be here to speak to these projects. One person has a reasonable excuse of being off work, but the rest.
Makes the meeting far more invaluable if we have the information.
Yeah, we end up with about
Well,
30
even
questions.
if we had some information on.
But it's also important for the community to be able to hear what the explanations are as well. You know, we get the emails back, but they're not hearing the answers.
It would be nice to know what is being resolved, actually.
So AJ, can you talk about metering?
Right, yeah.
Can we go to water optimisation, please?
Well, you could if there was someone here. Okay, what's your point?
Well, again, we're looking at 129,000 missing. Where is it? 129,213 to be exact.
Was that the current budget?
Yes.
Yeah, and they're talking about carrying forward 20,000.
Yeah, so where's the rest? Where's the 109? See what I'm saying? It was budgeted for 309,213.
Yeah. It's the same point you made earlier and
I think
started.
it's valid
Yeah.
to make the
But
point.
it is valid for each one of these. It's not just Island View. And it's been going on for some time. We've been asking for these numbers.
Yeah. We will not get this rubbish anymore.
We're supposed to have spent by June 84,000. Where's the 129?
Noted that, Eileen?
I tell you, it's nearly 600 grand that is wiped off this.
Yeah, it's because there's some fancy.
I don't care if they've got fancy. Our ratepayers have paid for this or are paying.
Okay, any other points other than, well, I'd like to ask about the universal water metering, AG. I know this is. And I see $3 million, which is a significant amount of funds, has been spent. Has any of it been spent on actually installing meters, or is it just stockpiling?
No, so I don't know about the budgets at the stage because this project was only handed to me recently when Sam Edlin left. So what we have done though is we are currently receiving materials. So at this stage, we've got 4,500 bases, we've got 4,500 boxes and lids. We have 2,000 water meters. We're waiting for the rest to arrive via the ships. And so we're expecting those in either late this month or in the first week of July. The manifolds that have come in, we've got 3,500 as of this morning. We've got another 1,000 to come. So we have also had several meetings and taken a lot of learnings from what happened at Whirianga. And we've set out these, what they call the Survey 1, 2, 3 system. So currently we have Veolia have started going around town and are trying to locate all the Tobies in town. And with that, they're also taking photographs for us so we can see what sort of meter boxes are there, whether they're the old round Tobies that have to be replaced. We've encountered some meter boxes that are that far into the ground. So we're trying to establish what work's got to be done. So then what we'll do is after that, we also have a probity specialist lawyer, Richard Kettlewell, and then we will prepare the documents and tender for the work to be done. The work has been scheduled for February, to begin in February.
And how long do you think the project will take?
I have scheduled it to finish on the 31st of March 2024.
So it's a bit over a year.
Yeah, it's a big project from my understanding from what they've had at Whirianga. The issues we're going to have here in town is that we have a lot of bores, people with bore water. We have a huge amount of infill housing with either cross leases or other things. So if it's some of the old cross leases, they only have one water feed in and then they split off afterwards. So all those things have to be called what we call unbundled. So that we have to go through, identify them, and then go through and try and resolve how they're going to be done. So who
would pay for that unbundling?
That is what they are working through from the Whirianga. So it's going to boil down to who's got an illegal connection, who's got connection, who doesn't have a connection that they've already been paying rates on. There's going to be a whole lot of things, and that's what we're trying to find out now is what's going on, and then we can start the work.
So can you sort of state and categorically what the 3 million actually is?
I can't state categorically what the 3 million.
Because to me, that seems like a hell of a lot of money.
It's for the componentry.
A lot of it will be for componentry.
I know, but surely we must have
A 3 million material cost with 1.7
Yeah.
install seems like we've spent a really large amount of budget.
Yeah, look, as I said, I can't answer the question in regards to budget because I haven't seen it. And I don't know what the way that they have worked out the budgets.
So what happens if that budget, which to me is going to blow out big time? What happens?
I can't answer.
Where does that money come from?
I can't answer
Or
that.
is it going to come back on ratepays?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, somebody needs to start looking at if it's going to be a budget blowout, how's it going to be paid for?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't know if it is going to be a budget blowout.
3 quarters will pay for it, won't it?
I do know that some of the funding is coming from Department of Internal Affairs.
But if we've got forecasted spend is going to take it all, and we haven't even got one water meter in the ground, how can it not be a budget blowout if our budget is the same as what we're going to be spent by the end of this month?
It's already said you can't answer it.
I know, but we need some answers.
Sure, but you're asking the wrong person.
Who do we answer then? Who do we ask?
Through
I've done it through the chair. I want to know, please.
I can go back and request a budget and how that arrived at it.
Yeah, but also what we want to know is what happens when they start putting the things in the ground. How much is that going to cost our ratepayers? If the only budget we've got is what has been spent by the end of this month.
Okay.
Doesn't it make
Yeah,
sense?
I can add a little bit to this as well. You'll know that the first tranche of Three Waters, we got $4 million, and they were going to spend $2 million between Whitianga and Whangamata. And once they got into Whitianga, they realised it was going to cost a lot more. So the $4 million were absorbed into Whitianga, putting the water meters in. Whangamata has got some issues, AJ, like you say. There's about 300 odd bore connections or illegal connections in town, and those will have to be sorted out. At the moment, I think it's like $700 if you're connected with water going, and not connected, but water going past your place, versus $300 if you are on a water meter. So there's quite a big difference. And $500 if you're not connected and not part of it. So there is a little bit of unbundling to be done here. The deal was that those who were illegally connected would pay for a connection. And obviously those who have got a connection, you're just going to put the water meter on. That was my understanding of the discussion.
Yeah.
So you've got a little bit of work to be done here, and there's going to be a bit of sensitivity over this because it has been an issue for a while. But we wish you the luck. Hope it all goes well. But
Who's going to pay for it?
there's going to be an overfund. I'm presuming it's a district funded project. So hopefully district funding comes to the fore and makes it happen.
But that means ratepayers, doesn't it?
District funders ratepayers.
Yes.
Ultimately, it'll mean water consumers.
Yeah, but then you're also paying for the water meter. So, surely the budget should have been worked out beforehand, before it was even muted, that we needed water meters. Doesn't make sense. As Tamsin says, we do everything backwards. We go ahead and do all this stuff with a limited amount of money and everything blows out. And who pays? Ratepayers. Because the homework is not done properly.
Okay. Anything more on water meters? Before we get to public convenience.
Can I just hear quickly, sorry, what's the start date, sorry? Did you have a start date?
So the program start date, so I received a program from my predecessor. It was scheduled for February.
Yeah. February 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a look at it and
Is
we've had.
that correct? Because the start
This
was 22 expected
Yeah.
completion date, and it was supposed to start in June 20.
We're going to spend 4.7 million by the 30th of June.
Have a look and I might be able to answer the question.
Yeah.
If you've got the.
Here's our figures.
Yeah.
So current budget's for.
So by the end of June, we're going to have spent all the money and we haven't got one in the ground.
Well, the latest figures show we're going to spend
Moved
$3
to Martin Road, that's what,
So it's district-wide spending.
right.
Yeah,
It's district-wide spending.
I know it's district-wide, but it's still ratepayer money.
And expected
Well,
completion.
we realise that.
June
Kate.
20.
Yeah, but the money is supposed to be there for these water meters. This is what came from the government.
It may be, if it's district-wide spending, that may include Whitianga.
No, the $4 million I got from the first tranche of Three Waters was spent at Whitianga, and that was $4 million. It was supposed to be $2 million in Whitianga, $2 million for Whangamata for water meters. But when they got up there, it absorbed the money and they had to wait for the smart meters, put some mole meters in till they got the smart meters in. So they burnt the money up there.
Okay.
So does that 4.7 include Whitianga?
No.
From.
No, this is supposed to be our budget works program, not Whitianga.
No, Dean hasn't had it.
Dean's just.
Hello, Dean. Have you got something you can add to this
Debacle.
issue?
No, just through the chair, just a suggestion. Look, it's really clear that the information isn't here to separate out Whangamata from Whitianga. So I think we can quite clearly take those comments back to operation, and in future work plan reports, we want to be really clear what is Whangamata and what is Whirianga. So we can take that back to the operations team.
Thank you. It would be good to just have our figures there and we know where we're going. The other thing on the water metering, we need to have some really good communications with ratepayers and owners as to what's going on. Especially those who are out of town, they'll turn up and find that their water's cut off or not cut off.
And that's it, yeah. So yes, we've already started some comms out there. We did consider doing lettered notice, and that we're going to start doing the public part. So at the moment, all we've got is basically you've got a couple of people walking around town who are taking some photos of water meters out in the public place. So that's one of the reasons why we're starting in February. It's over that Christmas peak period, so that you're not turning water off for people during the holiday period.
No, but that's a good time to communicate with.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Sorry, through the chair as well. With the Whirianga one, we did targeted ratepayer emails, and we will be doing that for Whangamata. So it will go to the postal address of the property owner, as well as a letter drop to the actual person who may be the resident.
Okay.
Could I just suggest that maybe it could be put in like with the rate funds? Because a lot of people, I know, at least 3 don't have, they don't go on the computers.
So this is a letter. It's a physical letter that we posted to to expertise and also to whoever might be the actual living in the house. Yeah.
but yeah, yes, we have considered with the communications and everything else. So working with.
It's got quite a sensitive thing.
Because I didn't see
It's got a
the
bit of history.
I mean, if we don't get the figures showing what's happening, it's going to be an absolute uproar.
Just through the chair, is the intention that the ratepayers will pay for the meters, or I understood that they.
No, they weren't paying. The deal, this one, my understanding that the deal was when we got the tranche of money from the 3 waters, that money would be paying for the water meters, and both Whirianga and Whangamata would not have to pay for water meters.
Right.
That was the deal.
But
Yes.
So I'll just, again, through the chair, I'll come back with more information about that, because the smart meters, as you're aware, Terry, they didn't get them because of COVID.
Yeah.
The actual part they couldn't get from overseas.
They had to wait for that, didn't they?
So they've made a savings there, and I will go back and check with operations, because as I understand, the full money wasn't spent in Whirianga, and it was carried over to Whangamata.
It wasn't carryover.
So I'll just go back to operations and
Because they said they were going to have to pay for those extra fittings when they came in. Yeah, okay, but I'll find out.
it'll be interesting.
But it's quite a sensitive thing, I can tell you, for over the years, as you're well aware.
And by smart meters, do we mean a meter that doesn't have to be physically read?
That's right, so it'll be the car driving past will be able to read it remotely, digitally, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Public conveniences. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Right, these are all.
Which ones? Which one?
We'll go through the big road one.
Big road?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, so consent has come through last week. The building consent has come through. We've had meetings with the contractors. The issue that we have there is connecting into an existing sewer line, and the nearest one is in Martin Road. So we're going to have to thrust underground. And that is the way that the design and the way we've dealt with it is that it causes the minimum impact into the environment. So we're actually going to raise it up slightly above tree roots. So had good consultation with the immediate neighbours. And so the position of the toilet is exactly where they have agreed to. I put pegs in the ground, spoke to everybody, shifted it slightly.
Yeah.
And that's so they are what I'd call in the hierarchical system, the immediate neighbours around there. So there was 4 of them. So out of that, we negotiated to shift the locations basically where the existing table is by the trees at the playground. And we're going to shift the table to the other side of the playground and put a plaque on it for the gentleman across the road. And that's so we're just going to repurpose it.
Across the road, I thought they had Reg Vaughan's name on it.
That's further down.
That's further down.
That's on the table.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. He's an ex-soldier, right on the corner there in Old Lockwood. So that's all good, all positive from all the neighbours.
And we're still going with a single unisex toilet.
A single unisex toilet for basically the kids and the parents.
With a drinking fountain in there.
Yep, a drinking fountain, a little foot washer on there.
And they had one pan, Jay, is it?
One pan, yeah. So again, we're thrusting the water from down by the barbecue, we're thrusting it underground to come up at the toilet. And that means that in regards to Heritage New Zealand and stuff like that.
Yeah, again, sorry, through the chair, AJ, there's a 50,000 loss here somewhere, and yet you're going to carry 120,000 over. The figures don't actually add up.
Don't add up? Okay. So the bill cost,
The forecast cost for the 30th of June is 135,915.
Yep.
The current budget is 182.
Yep.
Right? And yet you're saying carried forward to 22, 23 is 120,000.
Yes. So
My adding up makes that 255.
So what we're doing is that we are spending some money now in this financial year.
Yeah, I
As much
get
as we
that.
can, okay? And then it boils down to what's left. What you have to remember is that the budget may be 182, but when we're getting pricing in, and me being a quantity surveyor, I try and get things in under budget. So if we can forecast our costs to be less than what was the budgeted amount, that may be what you're seeing there.
Well, that would be great if we knew that.
Yes.
If we knew what the 135,000 had been spent on.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
something
the
that we
figures don't add up.
So that's something that we can bring up with the setup of the
Yeah,
work program,
the
because
setup.
AJ doesn't put those figures in there.
Because what we do is we forecast.
Yeah,
Always
I
forecast.
realise that.
And that's so in regards to the figures that you're getting there, I can't explain how you're getting those figures.
Well,
And like I said, if I had known, I could have been prepared.
AJ, I'm sorry, we don't know how.
Yep.
Through this chair, I think at this stage of the project, it would be very ambitious to be forecasting it to be below budget. So I
Absolutely.
would recommend that. Can you tell me how TIF funding is supposed to be treated?
TIF funding?
Yes.
As far as I am aware, it wasn't something I really dealt with. The council makes an application to the Tourism Infrastructure Fund and says if they're going to build a project. And out of that, they apply for a funding amount of it. Rough figures, say 50%. So when that's done, we then have to fill out paperwork at each stage. So you don't get any TIF funding until the building consents have gone in and the resource consents have gone in. And then they will start releasing some of the funds. All right.
So when you are budgeting for a project, would you budget on the hope that you receive TIF funding, or would you budget on the cost that TCDC will incur, and then TIF funding is an added bonus?
No, by the time I've received it, the TIF funding has been approved.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we are deciding on these projects in our annual plan and they have a budget against them, would that budget include ideal TIF funding but not confirmed because it is?
I think you split it. I think, yeah.
Lorne is right on this.
Yeah. So what they do is all of the projects have got to be in your annual planning.
Yes.
And so if we get to funding, and that would be a reduction in the budget.
Right.
And we have they work like skin in the game, so it depends on each round. So sometimes they ask them for 30%, sometimes it's 50%.
Yeah.
So then we'll just apply when the round turns up. And so it's already in our annual plan. And so we've got whatever is our budget line, and then they will co-contribute, and that will save a reduction.
Right. So when we were forecasting on Martin Road and Island View, and our original budget was 171 and 244 respectively, that would have been the whole budget, right? And then the expectation ideally would be to get to funding, but obviously it's not guaranteed, so we would forecast the entire cost. So then why, when we received TIF funding, which the expectation is that it would save TCDC money and we can put that money somewhere else, why did we just inflate the budget by 100%.
So I know with the, because they're toilets and we had
Yeah.
a problem with the supplier because we also had toilets that we did at Whangamatā. There was a whole bunch of them and there was a cost increase actually in the price of the toilets because they came from overseas.
So by 146 and 235,000 respectively.
Again, I had to check with the project manager, but I do know that there was, in terms of the actual price of the product, there was an increase and then the delay does take some time to the cost.
Well, the delay doesn't necessarily incur a cost. So delay is a delay to the project start, which we've seen has happened, but the delay doesn't guarantee that there'll be a price increase.
Sometimes with a delay, the price will go up and up and up.
Potentially, but it's not one and the same.
No, it's not, but it can be. But again, that was something we have to go back to the project manager, and I know you requested it as a breakdown.
Yes, I did.
So,
Okay.
just go back to the process of how we applied that would be the logic behind it, is it for the annual plan, it's for the
Yeah.
budget.
And because when we discussed TIP funding, right, it was as a possibility, and that then it would be money that was received, not guaranteed, but if we did, then obviously that means more TCDC funding for other projects. And so for Martin Road and Island View, like if you give me a little bit of time on this, because I brought up my concerns at the last meeting. I had then brought up my concerns via email, which were not responded to, with the project manager. And this is when I spoke about the frustration and disappointment that I have with the management of the CapEx projects. And I'm feeling like the staff members are completely disengaged with the community board and have shifted to a less is best approach from an information perspective. I feel like we're underutilised with our best for community information that we have. We should be taken on the journey with these projects and feeding in our knowledge and why we are elected representatives and why we're here. So both of those, I cannot understand how 100% increase of cost is justifiable and without any information. And I have been chasing this for since the last meeting. So.
Don't worry, it's
Good question.
years.
Good question.
Well, from my perspective, the cost of the project in the annual plan should be the cost regardless of where the funding's coming from, just as we do for roading projects. If we are going to get some money from transit or Whakara, Kotahi, if it's a $500,000 project, that's what goes in. 250 comes from council funding, 250 comes from external sources. So we should always be putting the full budget cost of the project in here, not reducing it because we're getting other funding or because it's going to be carried forward. And then if the funding doesn't come through from TIF or from external sources, then that's an issue to be dealt with.
No surprises.
But we want to know what the bloody toilets are going to cost, not what the net cost is.
This is what we've been saying for how damn long,
Oh,
and nothing is changing.
it's changing now.
No, our ratepayers are paying and paying, and I have no answers for them. I'm sorry. They ring up and ask, they see all these figures. What the hell? We can't see anything.
So I presume the cost of the Island View renewal of 480,000.
Okay.
So is that the gross cost?
Yeah.
And we're getting TIF funding of say 50% and ratepayer funding of 50%. Is that?
Okay. So if we can just go back to Beach Road, I'll just give you a couple of quick figures. So like to say, hear what you're saying. If you guys want to be involved in it, like I'm managing those projects, absolutely. It obviously has to go through Andrew Bowden, because that's the person I'm responsible to. But if you want to come on the journey.
I think, and it's great that that's the feedback from you today, but it has been very clear over the last 2.5 years that we want to be active participants and be on the journey with these projects. So it is extremely unfortunate, and Ken seems to have had Baraka or something this morning, because you're very optimistic that it's all changing, but it seems like an easy promise that it's all going to change in one board meeting, and this could potentially be a completely new board next time who will have no idea about all of these conversations.
And I mean, Tamsin is 2.5 years, we're 6 years, and it's still the same.
Okay. So Beach Road, we've got a calculation that say, yeah, like you say, 182K is the budget. I have $108,000 at this stage that's locked in figures. That's for the toilets. Okay, so I've got basically 75K there, in which I've got to get thrusting done. I've got to get connections done, consultations and everything else.
So AJ, why have we got figures like this? I'm sorry.
I can't answer that because I don't know how those figures are achieved for you.
Well, we don't either.
So
Did the TIF funding, can I just ask, maybe
no to funding for Beach Road.
no TIF funding for Beach Road?
No, never was.
So,
Okay,
so really,
for the other one, we're
get
gonna
it as
ask-
cheap as I can.
Did we get 50%? Did we get match for match, Lorna, do you know?
With the,
With the one at Martin Road and the one at.
146,000 for Martin and 235 for Island View.
Right, but would that match the funding that we put up?
Very similar, so
Very similar.
146 of the, and we put 171,
171.
235, and we put 244.
Right.
Through the chair, AJ, does that include the labour of that 107,000? Is labour included?
That is for consultation, okay? And then that is for the purchase of the toilets themselves and the installation and installation. So for Beach Road, there is no demolition. Okay, so that's just for the toilet parts. Okay, so Martin Road, the toilets, 3-pan toilets, just the paint finish, excluding any wrap or design on it, is 147,000. The demolition and installation is an estimate of 65,800.
That's happening now, ain't it?
That is what we've just fenced off and started.
And how much for the dump station at Bridge?
So the dump station is my absolute nightmare. I'll tell you that right now.
In what way is it your absolute nightmare? Because we seem to have a few of them, so.
The fall of the dump station, there's not enough fall in the sewer line. What they've done is when they put the dump station in, I don't know who did it. They have put the dump station in and the fall is not enough to actually let the waste flow down. And then they've connected into the sewer line from the toilet. So that sewer line from the toilet, we finally found some plans the other week, goes out and underneath the skate park and drops down. The issue is, and this is where we've had the thruster in again, is that for us to get a correct fall and for it to work, we need to go to 150 diameter pipe so that when people put wet wipes down the system, which are basically like Kevlar, they don't cause blockages. To do that, we have 11,000 kilovolt, 11,000 volt power lines running on Martin Road. They go overhead and then by the skate park, they drop down underground and they go across the footpath into a switch. And then they go from there, they go back and across the sports ground and they go back and they go across into the industrial area. So for the connections to be done, we would have to, we're not allowed to dig by the power pole, which is where the sewer line crosses. And that's 3.4 metres deep, which means that we're into the water table, which means that to do any connection, you have to have dewatering systems and the very substantial works going on. So therefore, the only other option is to go to a manhole that we could not find because it had been covered by tar seal. We've found that and located that. And we have to drill, put a manhole by the existing toilets there on the footpath. We have to go down. We then have to be careful of the power. We have to locate that. We have to go thrust underneath the power, come out to the manhole on Lindsay Road, and then connect into the manhole there.
And is that feasible within the budget?
No.
But we've got excess funds on the other ones.
So, and that's like I say, unfortunately, what's happened is that we got the toilet project, we started looking at it, we get a little bit of information, then we go to the power suppliers, we get a bit more information, then we get PowerCo come through, and we get more information. And that's the issue. So that's what we have found, and we're trying to resolve it. So I've been speaking with EPL, I've been speaking with the Valley Thrust team to try and sort out how we can do that dump station. So
I'll just take a comment from Dean first.
Dean first, okay.
But the project here, and this is a discussion we had to have, is for the toilet. So when we go to TIF and apply for our funding and our grants, we can only deal with the toilet. Okay, because the dump station is outside of the scope. So we've got to be careful. Now, sometimes we can use new connections and things like that, but those are things that I'm just working through now.
So your budget that you just read out is different than the 318, isn't it, for Martin Road?
Martin Road. Yeah, I've got 318 total budget with TIF funding.
Right.
With TIF funding. With
Including TIF funding.
So with that at this stage, for the toilet and the demolition and installation, it's basically 245,000. So I've got 73 left in budget to try and tidy things up. So there may be some funds available to do some work, but I've got to now go back and I'm just getting quotes from people to see what our work's going to be.
Okay. Dean, you've had your hand up for a while.
You're on mute, Dean.
You're on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Mine was more just basically giving some feedback on behalf of ops, so more of a bit of a wrap up. So I don't know whether now's the right time. Happy to.
No, we do it at the end of it. I think just focus on the dump station and the toilet.
Okay.
Yeah, so AG, you've done this exploratory work now on this dump station. Pity we hadn't done it a while ago, obviously. We talked about putting a dump station out by the wastewater plant. We talked about putting a dump station down by the boat ramp. They came back and we thought this is the best location with what's going on. Why can't you put a pump on the end of this?
It's already got a pump. That's the issue.
And that's not a problem?
No, it's causing issues all the time. There's a macerating pump there, and because of the fall, and that's also causing problems there.
Because that's what's causing the overflows.
So yeah, so when I spoke to the plumbers and to the drain layers, the things like your wet wipes, they go into the pump and then they get ground up and they stuff up the pumps. So that's the problem. You've also got shirts getting put down there. You've got people who are emptying other things out of there, putting into the tank. So some of the things that we've had discussions about is that there needs to be basically a water jet. So when you lift the lid to put your waste in, a jet of water starts spraying to lubricate the pipes and get things going like that. So
that's an option.
Yeah, so like I say, we're going through it right now and trying to see what we can do.
What we don't want to get to the end of the day is have a new toilet there and no dump station.
You're still going to have your dump station?
Yeah, but it's overflowing onto the road.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, the toilet, we will continue on with the toilet because that is a project that we must deliver to get TIF funding. So we will deliver that. But we're also working to try and resolve the dump station issue as well as what I call a separable portion.
Okay, so I need to know now, before we get that far in the track, in your opinion, will the dump station be installed or not?
The dump station is installed.
Yeah, will it be improved?
I can't say that until I get some figures back.
Excuse me, through the chair, did anybody go to the New Zealand Motorhome Association who?
Yeah, they went to them.
Who have really good designs that they're doing throughout New Zealand?
Yeah, it's about, and look, I've had a look at the one at Sulphur Point in Tauranga. I took a photo of it, the way it's been designed. So yeah, we've looked at that. It's pointless going to New Zealand Motorhome people right now because I don't have an option for them. What am I going to do? I go to them and say, hey, we want some money or whatever. I need to figure out what's going on, come up with a plan, and that's going to work, and then go with a proposal.
Is that true though? Because aren't they people that participate in these conversations every day? So potentially they would offer other ideas that you would not yet have experience or thought of because it's not something you do every day.
They have a lot.
They're very, very well experienced and happy to put money towards it.
Yeah, we understand that. The issue is actually connecting to the council infrastructure.
But they
It's not the pump station as such, it's the connection to the infrastructure.
They do have a lot of different designs that.
I appreciate needing to understand the problem, but designing the solution, I don't think needs to be done prior to engaging it.
Have you discounted completely looking at other, re-looking at other locations?
Oh, other locations, absolutely. I would have.
We went down that track, and because of pushback from some in the community, some were discarded and others were discarded because of remoteness to the sewer line, etc. But I wonder, there might be sites that we.
Absolutely, you know, top of my head, Beach Road, Boat Trailer Park. It's a facility that is for trailers and caravans, etc., and bigger vehicles. And could be better than here. At the end of the day, this was as it was told to me, as a toilet that I'm doing, and while you're doing that, can you please sort out the dump station? And that's the thing, under your budget. So yeah. Look, I'll get back to you, I'll report back to you, but that's where we're at. We've started the demolition of the old toilets to put the new toilet in. And we need to work on the dump station part as part of it.
Was it part of it, or was it almost a separate
And that's,
project?
yeah, a separable portion is what I'm treating it as at the moment.
Through the chair, I could also add just as an action, because we have worked with the NZNCA for a potential dump station in Thames. So we can reconnect on that as well.
Cool, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Sorry, this is Gary asking me what's going on because he can't hear it, so it's communicating digitally now.
so we started that one, it's fenced off yesterday, they started demolition, we're moving forward.
Okay. On the
Delivery of the toilet is end of July, and those are just delays with construction delays we're encountering right now in COVID.
Okay, and the dump station you're not going to look at for a while, or is it still in the work?
Oh no, we're working like
just report back to the
much
board
daily.
as much as possible, because it's quite key to us to understand that
Yep.
as it rises.
Yeah.
Thank you.
AJ, the main sewer line is on the other side of Martin Road, isn't it?
It runs underneath the skateboard bowl.
Yeah.
Skate park, and it goes across to Lindsay Road.
Yeah.
And then goes down to a pump station further down Lindsay Road.
Okay. So if that was changed, if we could get it onto the other side of the road, would it save a heck of a lot?
It's the full one.
As in like a dump station or something. Yeah. If you could put it at 101 Lindsay Road, that would be absolutely fantastic. That would be brilliant, because you just go straight across and connect it.
I'm sure it would sit well with the other parts.
I know.
Have you thought about, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but in Casement Road, or Aiken Road, sorry, there's a motorhome parking area there where the water supply for motorhomes are. Is there any way it could be combined with that?
Again, from memory, I think it's your sewer connection. It'd probably be easier sewer connection, but there's not a lot of sewer connections around that rugby ground, that recreational area.
Okay.
So yeah. But look, we are working on it and keep you up to date.
Okay, thank you. Island View, anyone got any questions on Island View? When's that going to happen?
Again, we've started that. So Island View has started as well. It's been disconnected. Again, we're aiming end of July for delivery, trying to get all three projects done at once. We had to change the design at Island View slightly, because we ran into an issue that if we removed one, I mean singular, indigenous plant, we had to apply for resource consent. So that meant any little indigenous plant that's in the park, because the reserves doesn't fall under certain things. That was a learning.
And it's going to be there for it.
So yes, we had to work behind the current coastal erosion line. So I think if you remember, we talked about removing, Lou had given permission for us to remove Pukao. Well, that had to stay. So we have put the toilet between two Pukaos, shifted it slightly. It works. I marked it out. I took one of the planners down there. They took photos, and so that's all approved. Again, consents have been issued. So they've started there. The issue, and as Lou alluded to before, power goes, the power, we're trying to locate where the power actually comes from, so we can turn it off. So we've just got that part done. What we thought was a very simple thing, it sounds like the power may be actually coming from the other side of the park. So, but yeah, so that one's underway. And
is it a 3-bed or with 3 or 4?
I think that one's a 4-pan.
4-pan.
So
do we have that outside shower on it?
I think
yes, it does.
I think it's 2 and 2, isn't it?
On the view.
Isn't it a double side, 2 and 2?
No.
Or the one locked on? We haven't seen the time of it.
Okay.
Again, we have.
It's a 4-pan mono roof. So the idea of it is that it hunkers into that existing dune. And that's what we had consultation with all the neighbours. So I think we had 36 of the neighbours there, and I put it to them, and they're all happy as with it.
Is it possible that we could see it, have a design of it? I mean, I wouldn't have a clue what it looks like.
A plan? Yeah.
Would be nice.
Yeah, like Pam has said, you know, if you want to come on the journey, yeah, let's.
We do.
We do. We've been wanting to.
We live here, and we're part of the community.
And we keep getting asked about these things, and you haven't got a clue.
Yeah. So we can do that one there for that toilet. Originally, when that went through for TIF funding application, they envisaged a rather big toilet, and we just couldn't get that size toilet in. So we had to reduce the size of it just to fit it into where it is.
And how have you reduced it? What?
It's still 4 pans.
Yeah,
but we've reduced.
Wash up area.
Yeah, they were going to have a big external wash up area and everything else. It was based off one we did up at Whangamatā.
Yeah, right.
And although Whangamatā is a really nice toilet, we just weren't able to do it there because of coastal erosion lines and restrictions. So
sounds normal.
Get the
yeah. So we've had to.
Okay.
It's still a 4-pan. It will still look very cool, and it'll just sit.
And one is a handicap. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Every toilet has an accessible toilet in it.
Cool.
And we have to put in accessible parking as well. So, any questions on that?
Good luck.
No, but if we had copies of the plans, that'd be useful for all three.
The easiest way is to go and consent tracker.
Yeah, well, it was down the other day.
Can you tell me what is the limit for putting projects onto GETS?
No, I can't. I don't know anything about GETS.
Do you know the answer? What is our limit for putting projects on GETS?
Oh, again, I don't know that either. Sorry, that's an ops matter, but we can find out. I'd say it's in millions.
Yeah, I don't know, sorry. Sorry, please understand, I'm an independent. I'm a consultant to the council. I'm not employed by the council. I've just done a lot of work.
Very wise to take a step back.
Because
When we talk about staff, we're talking about building work. It's like when we talk about consultants.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, moving on to OPEX now. And so it was the issue that I asked during the week about discretionary funds there, Eileen, and we understand that the mountain bike park aren't going to be picking up their $8,000. So what happens to that unspent money? Do we carry that forward? Does it come available next year?
No, it doesn't. It goes into your retained earnings.
Retained earnings. Okay.
But we can apply for it if we need it.
Only through retained earnings.
Yeah.
So it'll go into your retained earnings.
Yeah.
So when finance have done their figures for the end of the financial year, the board will then be told how much is in their in their retained earnings.
Yeah.
And then application would be same thing. If they still want that money, then the application process that they followed the last time would have to happen.
Okay,
Can you tell us the current retained earnings amount?
Finance have said that they have not got a figure.
No, but you've got retainings from this financial year.
Yeah, but how much is that?
Sent it to you in that item around the information centre.
And then is that, okay, yeah. Okay.
okay. Any other questions on the topics?
Can I just quickly talk about the library? Maybe it's kind of right. So the library gets $72,000 and they find it's great. We're looking at moving the archives over to the Treasury and Thames. I don't know if there's any adjustment to the funding they need to help do that. So have you heard? I haven't heard anything from them directly. Have you, Eileen?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so just throwing that out there that they've got a room here with all the archives in it, and it's getting old and they want to move it out, and some of the people are just about passing on, so they're trying to move that reasonably quickly.
So is that a directive from the library or from council to move it?
No,
From the library, really, between them and Treasury. Yeah, normally between them. And
it's just that we've lost the archive person.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, so.
And it's a storage issue.
The CCTV cameras,
Servicing.
yeah, there's one in the, in Williamson Park. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that, I don't even know where that is. Do you know where that is?
Thought it was over by the surf club.
Is it?
Well, it's in plug, yeah.
Okay. I haven't even seen that one.
So skipping through the chat, how much does it actually cost us a year for this maintenance and servicing?
So that was the figure that you,
Figures don't add up.
the figure that you've got there is what is in the LTP for the servicing and maintenance, and that came from a quote from Watch You. Not all of that money has been spent because the servicing didn't start until halfway through the year.
Because it says monthly internet charges, so.
So there's monthly internet
Is
charges
that
of $204 a month. And so that expenditure to date is the internet charges as well as they have done some servicing and maintenance.
That's fine. It's just that, you know, it'd be good if we actually knew what the monthly charges were and stuff like that, instead of just getting these bulk figures.
One other, can I just quickly talk about the Whangamatā bus link investigation? We had $10,000 put aside to look at that. Since then, Dennis Tegg through Regional Council is trying to put a program that they fund this completely through their own system and rates. So that $10,000, can that be moved into something else?
No, it goes into retained earnings.
Retained earnings again, yeah. So it'll roll into retained earnings.
So therefore we should have 18,000
Oh, there should be more than that.
extra, no, but added to it.
Yeah,
You have to keep an eye on that.
we will.
Okay, and the last one is the report on the boardwalk. So that's.
Yeah, well, that's looking good. They're doing the work there. I think they've done some planting to come by Harbour Care, which is good. Tidy it up to the bridge at least, in your right. And then the causeway one. Who's going to speak to that? Is Ed here?
He was.
You online, Ed?
No, he's
not.
No.
I think
He's-
transport.
Have you got a question there?
Actually, but Dean said he could talk to some of the ops staff.
Some of them, sorry?
Dean said he could talk to some of the ops things.
Okay, yeah, so we just really want to understand what the next steps are. It says here that they've got a scope or a design underway and complete. We've got $200,000 in this year's budget from 1 July, and we want to know what the next steps are, really.
Oh, here's Ed now.
Good morning. Yeah, Terry here, just giving us a recap on where we are with the harbour to the mountain bike walkway, and when can we see some steps to start the project or get some of it going? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, currently we've got Pinnacles doing a draft design for the route. Once we've got that available, we will then need to consult with Whangamatā on joint funding for our section of the route, and also get their agreement to the route along the State Highway Road Reserve. If we can get that agreement in the next financial year, then we should be able to put a bid in for annual plan funding, either as an out-of-cycle budget request next financial year to start construction, or we could then go for full funding for it, either whole or in parts, in the next 3-year LTP cycle bid.
So the $200,000 in this year's budget, can we not start some of the stuff that's in council land?
This financial year it's probably too late, but yes, next financial year we've got 200,000. We've not spent that much. Once we've got the draft plan done, then we can look at prioritising sections and get some construction done. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm talking about 1 July, was that, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good here. We can see some progress. The working group's keen to see some action and report back to the board. So yeah, it'd be great to see some things happen there. How long before that concept from Pinnacles?
I'm expecting it by the end of July.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
July.
So any further questions or comments on the work program? Dean, did you want to make some general comments about the information we're getting or the concerns we have?
Yeah, thank you. Just through the chair, just more of an acknowledgement, Ken, of the frustrations that have been tabled today by the board on behalf of their ratepayers. Just to be clear, when the news came that we would have key staff absent, it was expected that there would be some difficulty in answering some of these questions because of the detail behind some of these projects and the availability of the project managers working on each. So we know that we sent the email in advance asking if there were any questions ahead of the meeting, and thanks to those that provided that, but also acknowledging that there wasn't enough time for people to maybe read the agenda and think about those questions. But alongside that, there was also an offer that if you have any questions following the meeting, that staff would collect those up and look to respond to those as well. So we will do that, and we will collate that with what we've heard today. And obviously, just to place it back into the public forum again, then we'll make sure that next month's work program includes all of those updates that might happen between now and then. And we'll make sure that the staff who are presenting next month comment on those as well. Just briefly, that was the offer that was made, but also acknowledging that there was a substantial amount of feedback on the financial reporting and also the availability of key staff. I will pass that on, and also I know that Lorna is in attendance, so we will make sure that that is passed on to the operations team. And just a note that Bruce was able to make himself available after lunch to your workshop, so you'll have an opportunity to talk to him about that as well at that time. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Dean, one of the questions that I, through the chair, was get a one-page report on projects completed by the 30th of June. Was that done?
No, and I thought I emailed you back to say that we wouldn't have the staff available, the operations staff available to patch that up in that short time frame, Terry, ahead of this meeting. But that's something that we will talk to operations about following the meeting. So we've got that on the list of things to talk about, if that was your question.
Yeah, you didn't actually email back, but you did mention that you might find difficult to find them, but I would have thought it would have been a big task to write down the completed projects off the LTP, and I just want to finally say that this has been battling on for not one meeting, but a lot of meetings. We go back and I've got records of all the reports I've requested, and it's great to be addressed, but it's taken a long time, sorry.
And through the chair, as a response to that, it's definitely not my intent to undermine TCDC staff in a public forum. However, I do feel that I've given them ample opportunity to respond to me via email. So I did take that pathway and it was not responded to.
Through the chair, in all honesty, Dean, it's not just this year. It's not the last 2 years. It's the last at least 5 years that we have been trying to get better reporting and everything done on this works program. The figures never ever add up, and we don't know what they're being used for, and it's ratepayer money. We need to have the answers if we're asked, because you feel an absolute dickhead.
They add up. There seems to have been a change in.
They haven't. I've had lots of time with my broken arm, and I've gone back nearly 4 years, and they're always the same. They're the same. The current budget, what we spend, what's at the end of the June or whatever, it never adds up to what is being carried over. And nowhere does it say it goes into the next budget. I'm sorry, until the last minute, obviously, which I didn't get because of Outlook.
Yeah, just through the chair, to all of the members, I think those points have been conveyed very clearly, and acknowledge that they've been conveyed before. So like I said, Lorna and I will go back with that feedback, and yeah, we'll look to address that.
Thank you, Dean. Okay, I'll put that item. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Now we're moving on to action schedule. Is there anything there we need to discuss? Most of them are closed or transferred to the works program. So I'll move that. Anyone want to second that?
Yep.
Second by Terry. I'll put the action schedule. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Okay, members' reports. Going around the table, anyone? Dave, anything you want to update us on?
I've got, I haven't attended only Mana this meeting, and I've got nothing to report other than.
No.
Oh, it's not a member's report, but is that JM John Muston sitting there?
He's on hold.
On hold. Wouldn't mind if at the end of this he could give us an update on the Kokovi AGM special meeting. Terry.
I can just say that yesterday I was at a Pānui focus meeting talking about Three Waters, and thanks to Lorna for some backup knowledge on that, and was very well received. So thank you very much. And we've got next week, the 28th, the annual plan sign off at council. So that'll be the firing the gun for the next year, what's going on. And that's about all. Thank you.
And at that meeting, they're going to discuss the potential change 101 Lindsay status.
Just that I attend a monthly meeting in the library and the swimming pool, and the swimming pool's going amazing. went back for aerobics, all programs are starting, and I broke my wrist. So.
It's really good though, isn't it? It's all
It's
going well.
beautiful and it's so warm, so get everybody out there, we want it to stay open.
So numbers are good going
The
through.
numbers at the moment are good going through. With the programs that they've got running. It's great.
Okay, well, I'll move the members' report. Seconded by. Nobody.
Oh,
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried.
how many more meetings we got left? One, two.
Two.
Oh, I got
Three.
Oh, cool. Still got three to go.
They come quicker.
Oh, still got three to go. Yes.
Okay, I will now declare the meeting closed.
So happy on.
Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you, staff, members of the public, if they've stayed the journey. Right, you can stop recording.
What's that?
I got figures.